Hey, my name is Breaeanna Goodman, and I'm doing my artist presentation on Louise Bourgeois. She was a highly successful 3D and 2D artist that delved into themes of trauma, anxiety, and womanhood. She was born December 25th in 1911 and died on May 31st in 2010. She lived to be about 91 years old and died in her home in New York. She was born in Paris, France, but later in life moved to America, to New York, to marry an American art historian. Her parents owned a tapestry repair shop, which really influenced some of her art, where she later uses textiles and yarn. She initially went to school to study mathematics and geometry. She valued the stability and peace of mind of math because math's rules can be altered. After her mother's death in 1932, she abandoned mathematics and pursued art. She would transfer a lot of her emotional turmoil into her art. She liked to transfer her aggression and anxiety into the material of her art. Her art deals with a lot of themes of her childhood trauma, how she deals with her anxiety, and sexuality and the body. She also covers the overall themes around being a woman and mother, and dealing with anxiety about being a mother. Her most famous work, The Spider, is a representation of her mother. She was someone who wove a home out of thread, but was also a dark, imposing figure in Louise's life. The spider is represented by both being a predator and a protector. As I said before, Louise's art is primarily inspired by her childhood trauma and just her working through the emotions that follow that. She really liked to accept that her past trauma is a part of her. She embraced it and turned those feelings towards creating. All of her art has something to do with emotion and part of her history. She was seen as extremely intelligent, but emotionally volatile and almost immature. Some people would say she sometimes acted like a child just with how emotional she was. A lot of her work surrounds the human experience of failing and succeeding, living and dying, and just life and love in general. She really believed in the process of constantly redoing and remaking things, and the idea of constantly changing things and improving was one of her drives in life. She believed artists were truly in touch with their unconscious mind, that more than anyone we are able to express ourselves truly through creation of art. Louise had 3 children with her husband in New York. She found it very challenging to continue to make art while also being a mother. She didn't have as much time to create art and found it very physically demanding dealing with children while also creating sculptures. Not only that, but she had a lot of anxiety surrounding her kids and wanting to be a better mother than her own mother was to her. She was sometimes afraid of her own family because of her fear of not being good enough. She later did get psychotherapy that helped her get past these fears and to release some of the traumas of her past. Creating art around her fears of being a mother helped her a lot too. Louise applied a lot of what she learned while studying mathematics into her art. She liked the solid feeling of architecture and wanted to express that through her work. She would often represent her husband as a building because he was very stable in her life. And she illustrated the book he disappeared into complete silence that touches on the themes of architecture and human relationships. If a skyscraper was by itself, it was considered a lonely person. But if it was two skyscrapers, they were a couple. If there were two skyscrapers and they were far apart, then they were estranged. Each page tells its own story of people and their relationships. In fact, the book itself hinted at sculptures that she would make in the future. Here are all the sources I used. All of them are from my annotated bibliography. Thank you for listening.